Hi everyone, welcome back. So in this video we're going to be deploying the image classification API onto AWS services, okay? So we can have our API up and running on AWS, okay? So let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is to make a new account on AWS. So AWS offers 1 year for free as long as you're within their requirements of usage, so they won't charge you. So we're going to do a free account on AWS. And we're going to deploy if you remember, we developed the image classification API. We're going to deploy that API on AWS. So the first thing we're going to go is we're going to do AWS sign up, just on Google. And then you're going to go sign up for AWS. Okay, so here you're going to first input your email, password, and what your AWS account name that you want. So for now, I'm just going to pause, and then I'm going to enter my credentials, and I'm going to click continue, and I'm going to come back. So I'll come back once I finish that. Okay, so welcome back. So in the second thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to change once I click continue, I'm going to change this to a personal account because this is not a professional account, right? This is not a organization account. So I'm going to choose the personal account. And then I'm going to write my full name here, my phone number here. I'm going to change the country and the address, city, state and province, and postal codes. And then I'm going to check this code over here, and then I'm going to create and continue. So I'm going to fill these information now. I'm going to pause the video, and once I fill them, and you want to fill them too if you want, then you can come back and we can see where we can go from there, okay? Okay, so welcome back. So now what's going to happen is you're going to choose your billing address, and then you're going to input your credit card information. And it says here, please type your payment information so we can verify your identity. We will not charge you unless your usage exceeds the AWS free tier limit. So if you open this link here, you're going to see what all the things you're allowed to do and not allowed to do. So the AWS free tiers allows you 12 months for free. Okay, so 12 months for free. You can have the Amazon API gateway. You have 50 gigabytes of Amazon CloudFront. You have a lot of these. You have 750 hours per month of Amazon EC2. So if we calculate how much this is, so if I perhaps get a calculator, and then if you calculate, that ends up being, let's see if we can get the calculator here in time. So it's basically going to be 750 divided by 30 on average. So that's strange. The calculator is not working for some reason. But okay, anyway, so we can just use Google. So 750 divided 30 is going to give you 25. Okay, so that's on average 25 hours a day. So that's more than you need actually. So 750 hours per day is more than 25 hours per day is more than 24 hours, right? So this is enough to work for the entire month as long as you're not, abusing the system and using it a lot, okay? So yeah, these are all for free for 12 months. So that's pretty cool, right? Okay, so let's go back to the AWS. So I'm going to input my credit card information, and I'm going to come back and we're going to see where we can go from there, okay? Hi everyone, welcome back. So after you've input your credit card information, we now are going to choose the basic plan, which is for free. So we're going to click on this basic plan, and that's it. So we are now able to sign in. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to sign in to my console. So I'm going to wait until it loads, and then I'm going to input my credentials. So in this case, I'm going to write my email. So I'll stop here, I'll pause here, I'll come back when I log in. Okay, so welcome back. So I've just logged in here. And yeah, this is basically the console that we have, okay? Okay, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to launch a virtual machine EC2 instance. So we're going to click on services. And then you're going to see all these services that Amazon offers, and we're going to choose EC2, okay? So I'm going to choose EC2, and I'm going to launch a new EC2 instance, which is like a virtual machine that will host our website, okay? So I'm going to click on Launch Instance, and then I'm going to go to AWS. So you can see here that they offer a lot of stuff here you can choose from. but I'm going to go to AWS Marketplace, and then I'm going to write Ubuntu, and then let's say 16.04, okay? Or let's go with the latest version, 18.04. So you can see here that it's a Ubuntu 18.04, okay? So I can download it, and this one is free for here, so $0 for the software. So I'm just going to select that one, and then I'm just going to, it's going to tell me about all of these stuff, for example, hourly rates and stuff like that. So I'm going to say okay, continue. And since it's the free tier, then it shouldn't be any problems. And then for here, we don't need too much stuff, right? We just need a basic one. So we're just going to do general purpose, the nano one. We're gonna choose this free tier eligible one, so the T2.micro, and then I'm just gonna do review and launch. So this is going to cost $0, so we're not going to be paying anything per hour, so there's no problems here. And once we're done, we just launch. And we're going to choose an existing peer, or we're going to create a new peer. So it's saying a key peer consists of a public key that AWS stores and a private key file that you store. Together, they allow you to connect to your instance securely, okay? So you get the private key while AWS has the public key for your instance, okay? So when you SSH, or when you go into your virtual machine, then you're going to use the private key, okay? So together, they allow you to connect to your instance securely. For Windows, the private key is required, so we're not using Windows, but for Linux, the private key file allows you to securely SSH into your instance. So we're going to use the private file to go into the machine that we have, the EC2 instance, and we're going to log into it, okay? All right, so a couple of things. So note the selected key pair will be added to the key of set of key authorized for this instance. Learn more. So we're going to create a new pair. So we're going to create a new key pair. And then let's call this key pair tutorial 1. Okay. And then I'm going to download the key pair. And these two, of course, you have to not show them to anybody. Okay. So you have to download the private key file .pem before you can continue. Store it in a secure and accessible location. You will not be able to download the file again after it's created. So it's very important that you don't lose this private key, okay? So make sure you don't lose this private key. So we're going to download the key pair. So I'm going to save this, okay, in the downloads folder. And you can see here that I got tutorial1.pem. This is a very, very important file, okay? Do not lose this one. Okay, so now we're going to launch instances. So it's telling us that it's creating security groups, authorizing inbound roles, all these stuff. Okay. Okay, so now it's ready. So now it says your instances are now launching. The following instant launches have been initiated. Okay, so now we have our AWS. So let's go back to AWS now. Okay, and now you can see here that this is the home page, and we want to go to our instances. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to services again, and then this time we're going to go to EC2, and then we'll go to instances this time, and you'll see here that we have an instance that is running. Okay, it has an instance type, availability zone, status, public DNS, public IP, and all these stuff, okay? So how do we SSH into it, okay? How do we go into this machine? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the terminal, our terminal, and then so I want to connect into this running instance right now. So what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to write SSH, okay? So if you see SSH is already a command in Linux that allows me to remotely access a virtual machine or a machine in general from across the internet. Okay, so I'm going to write SSH, and then let me try to make this bigger. So SSH and then -i, and then I'm going to tell the SSH command where's my PEM file. If you remember, I downloaded it at downloads, right? So I'm going to go at let's see. So where is this file located? If I go open containing folder, well, it's at home downloads, okay? So I'm going to go SSHI and then root / downloads / tutorial1.pem, okay? So you go to the directory where you put the PEM file in, and then after that, you want to write your username. So in my case, my username is this one, okay? Elfarouk, yes. And then add sign, and then you want to come here and you want to copy the public DNS, okay? So you're going to copy this here, so Control C, and then come here and write Control Shift V, okay? And that's it. So you click enter, and then you click yes. Oh, okay, so I know what happened. So first of all, you need to, before you do this, you need to give some information to say that your PEM key has to be mod, okay? So you're gonna write chmod 400, and then again to the directory of your PEM file. So downloads, and then tutorial1.pem, and then you're gonna do the command that you just did. So SSHI and then all of that, okay? Hi, so welcome back. So I found out the mistake, and it's basically that I've been logging in with the username, which I always use, Elfarouk yes, but in fact, you should log in with the username Ubuntu. So it should be Ubuntu add and then your public IP here. So EC2 and then this link over here, right? So it should be Ubuntu because we're using 18.04, okay? So we're gonna click enter. So do nothing else but that. And then you're gonna notice here that we're actually inside this machine. So if I do ls, then we're nowhere, right? So we have only like SSH and so on. So what I'm gonna do is so you have a couple of things downloaded. So you have, for example, Git. So if I write Git, then your Git is there. You also have Vim, okay? So I'll just close now. You have a couple of software that is already installed, and what we're basically going to do, so if I can somehow go back into this diagram here, so what we're basically going to do is right now through this terminal we are in the virtual machine, so virtual machine on the cloud, right, on AWS. So what we're going to do is, and we have the project on our local machine, virtual machine, so local virtual machine. And we have the code here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this code, we're going to put it on GitHub, okay? Once we put it on GitHub, we're going to go back into our virtual machine. We're going to pull that from GitHub. So we're going to put the code on the cloud virtual machine here. We're going to do git clone from GitHub. And then after that, once we're done with that, then we're going to download on this virtual machine. We're going to download Docker and Docker Compose. Then we're going to go into this files here, the file with the code, and we're going to do sudo docker compose build, sudo docker compose up, and that should be it. So once we're done with that, this service will be working and we should be good to go. Okay, so hopefully this explains the workflow that we're going to be following, okay? So first of all, so now we know that we've successfully connected to the EC2 instance. So I'm just gonna click Control D and exit it, and then I'm gonna clear. So the first thing that I wanna do is to go to my GitHub account. So I already have a GitHub account, so I'm gonna go to github.com. And then I'm gonna go sign in. I'll input my information, okay. All right, so now I'm going to click on Start a Project, okay. And then I'm going to call this project Tutorial 1, for example, okay. Maybe set it to private. If you don't want to set it to private, that's still fine. I'm just going to set it to private. And then I'm going to describe it. This is the image recognition app or API developed for the course, okay? And then you're going to initialize this repository with a readme, okay? And you're just going to create the repository. All right then, so far so good. So now what we need to do is to push this code here. So we need to push some code over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to upload the files into this here, over here, okay? So I'm going to do upload files, and then I'm going to do choose your files. So I'm going to choose my files, and then I'm going to go to, let's see. So we're going to go to image classification, and then I'm going to choose, for example, this Docker Compose, this web, and this DB. And then I'm going to click open. Oh, so it needs one file at a time. Okay. So you can do that, or what you can do is you can do it automatically using, like, right away, just one file, okay? So, whoops, okay, so we've done a mistake here, so we need to delete this one here and this one. Okay, so let's instead of doing this, we can add, so I'll just add this as my origin. So I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go into the image classification API. Then I'm going to do git init, okay? So now I've initialized a Git repository here, and then I'm going to write git remote add, and then the URL, and then it's going to tell you that if you want to add, so we want to add basically to origin, right? So we're going to say git remote add origin, and then the link, okay? All right, so now we're going to do git push origin master, and then F. So let's see, git status. Okay, so we're going to add everything first, and then we're going to commit initial commit. Okay, and then we also need to tell this who we are, right? So we're going to do git config global user.email, and then it's af.y.f@hotmail.com. So this is my GitHub account, and then I'm going to set my name. So git config global user.name, and then Farouk. So that's my name. And then we're going to push commit this commit, and we're going to push this to master. So git push origin master, okay? Oh, okay. So let's see what the problem was. So we should go back to tutorial 1, okay? Here. Copy this one over here. And then when we add the remote, then it should be this link, okay, instead. Okay, so we've added it now. And then we try to push into origin. So git push origin master. And then I'm going to write my username and my password. Oops, so let's do F with a force. And now it's pushing here, and we should see everything here. So if I refresh my code here, you would notice here that I have my project dockercompose.yaml. Okay, so it's here, the web, right? DB. So everything is working nicely here, okay? So what I'm going to do now is to go back. So I'm going to go back here. So once I have my project on my GitHub, now I'm going to clone it from GitHub using this link over here. So I'm going to go back and SSH, so I'm going to clear this, and then I'm going to SSH, so let's see if we can find the SSH command. So I'm going to SSH into my EC2 instance, okay, using Ubuntu. So SSH into my running virtual machine, and now I'm in my machine. So I'm going to make a directory, and I'm going to call it image classification. I'm going to go into image classification, all right, and then I'm going to do git clone, and then the link for that. It's going to tell me to input my username and password. Okay, so now if we do ls, we're going to find that we have tutorial 1. So if we go into tutorial 1, okay, and then we do ls, then we find our db, docker compose.yaml, web, and so on, okay? So now what we want to do is we want to install on this machine over here, we want to install Docker Compose and Docker, right? Because remember, there's a Docker Compose file on the virtual machine. So what we need to do is to go and install Docker and Docker Compose. So let's do that. So we're going to go here and then download Docker. First of all, we're going to download Docker, and then we can add also Ubuntu, okay? And then we're going to go get Docker CE for Ubuntu. And then we're going to follow these instructions again. So what were the instructions? So first of all, we do sudo apt-get update. So I'm going to copy that and put it in my terminal, which is now, so where we are right now. So let me clear this here. So where we are right now, we are on the server. So this terminal is actually the server. I'm controlling the server that I bought from or launched from EC2, okay? So this is this computer over here. This is this virtual machine. So what am I going to do? I'm going to first update sudo apt-get update. So I'm going to do that fairly quickly. Okay, and then the second thing is we're going to copy these lines of code over here and paste them again once this line finishes. Okay, so I'm going to press yes and install them. And then next I'm going to add the Docker official GPG key. So I'm going to copy this again. Very straightforward process. So I'm just going to finish for them to do this, all these commands: sudo apt-get install, apt transport HTTPS, CA certificates, curl, and software properties common. So it's installing all of these. So it might take a few seconds. So here we're doing curl and we're done. The last one. And then we're also going to do now, add the Docker official GPG key. So I'm going to add it, paste, and it tells me okay. So far so good, everything is good. And then since this is a 64-bit system, I'm going to add this over here, this line of code. But then I'm going to change this over here, so not this one. So let me go back. Let me see if I can, okay. So I'm going to change this one into test. And then click enter. Alright, so it's now fetching the packages. And now what I'm going to do is, again, update sudo apt-get update. So I'm going to paste this here. And in case you're wondering how I'm pasting, I'm doing Control-Shift-V, okay? So it's not Control-V. And then now I'm going to finally install the latest version of Docker CE. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come here and then paste that. Then click yes. And it should be installing. So it already installed and it's unpacking. And then once we're done with that, we want to verify by running sudo docker run hello world. So I'm going to copy that, come here and run it. And lo and behold, we have hello from Docker. This message shows that your installation appears to be working correctly. Okay, so now we have a running instance of Docker on the virtual machine. Okay, so if we go back here, I now have my code on the virtual machine, which I pulled from GitHub. And I also got Docker. So the only thing that left is to get Docker Compose. So I'm going to go back. Okay, and then we're going to download Docker Compose. So I'm going to say install Docker Compose Ubuntu. Okay, similar to what we did in previous videos where I showed it. Right, it should be the same, as straightforward as installing it on your machine, this virtual machine over here. So let's see how we're going to do it. We're going to choose a Linux machine, and then we're going to get this, write this command over here, copy that, and then paste it. And then enter. And then after that, I'm going to copy this line over here, copy that, and then paste it. And then finally, I want to test the installation, so I'm going to write Docker Compose version. So Docker compose -- version. I'm gonna click enter, and then it shows me that the current version is 1.21.2. So that's great. So now let's go back. So I'm gonna do, so I'm in the Docker Compose file. So I'm gonna do sudo docker compose, and then sudo docker compose, and then build. So let's first build the project. So you would see here that it's pulling from Mongo. So this is the MongoDB, and it's downloading and installing it. So this is the image, right? And then it's getting from Python 3. So it's downloading and installing the image on the server on your EC2 instance. So all of this is happening by Docker and Docker Compose, of course. And then once we finish from this here, so once it's finished extracting and downloading from Python 3, then we're going to go through all those steps, right? So step 2, change the work directory, then download and pip install the requirements, the files in the requirements.txt, and then basically we're doing all of these things which we already did, okay? All right, so we're going to wait for a few seconds until all of these, so we're downloading a couple of them, right? We're downloading, let's see, Flask RESTful, all of these things are being downloaded, requests, bcrypt, all of these things are being downloaded. So we're going to wait for them until they finish, and we're done, okay? Now the next thing we want to do is we want to do sudo docker compose up, but we're going to add -d, okay? So what -d is, it means it's going to run in detached mode. So I'm going to run that. And then what basically this means is this is currently running, right? But the only difference is that I don't have to, so I can move here. I'm running it in detached version, so I can do whatever I want while it's working on the server, okay? So now it's officially working. So if I come here, and this is the public key, so you can think of this as the domain name of the DNS, okay? So if I go here, let's go here, open Postman, and then we're going to send a post request to /register. See what happens, right? What are we going to get? So we're going to go there. Let's just leave Postman to open first, and then so you would notice here that what I've basically done here is that I'm letting Docker Compose run, but at the same time I have the flexibility of going in and out of the files, right, and doing stuff, administrative stuff on the server. So Postman is opened. So I'm gonna go now to this address over here, so the Amazon address / and then I'm gonna write register. So now I'm gonna hit the endpoint at /register. And then from what I'm gonna send the server, I'm gonna send username, let's say ABC123ABC. So that's my username, and the password is secure. So I'm gonna post this into the server, and hopefully it tells me, hey, you have registered successfully. So let's see what happens. So I'm gonna send this to the server. So a couple of things that we missed actually is first of all, go to services and then EC2 instance, okay? And then here, once the EC2 instance loads, go to your instances, and then we're going to change something in the security group of this instance. So we want to allow all the traffic coming into this instance to be allowed, right? So I'm going to click on this one, and then I'm going to click on inbound, and then you shouldn't see all traffic here. So I just edited this in, but if you edit this in, then you should only see SSH, right? So I'm going to delete this, just like to simulate what you would have. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do add rule, and then I'm going to write all traffic, and then all protocols, all ports, and then this doesn't necessarily have to be the best security-wise, but for now, just to get an example up and running, we're going to leave it as it is. And then we're also going to write anywhere, so anyone can hit our EC2 instance or our API, and then I'm going to just save that. Okay. So after I've saved that, I'm going back to my VirtualBox here. I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna clear Okay, and then I'm going to write vim and then web/app.py. Okay, so I'm going to open this, and then I'm going to click on the I button to allow me to write stuff, and then I'm going to come down here, and you should write debug is equal to true, so that you can debug when something happens. Host equals 0.0.0.0, and port is equal to 5000. Okay, so once you've written that, you're going to click on the escape button. Okay, so this is the only change we're going to do. You're going to click on the escape button, and then semicolon, so you can see the semicolon written down on the bottom left corner, and then W, and then Q, and then you're going to press enter. Okay, so that should take you back to the original terminal. And then what we're going to do is we're going to build, so sudo docker compose build. Okay, and then once we've built, we're going to sudo docker compose up. Okay, so once we do that, finally, after all of this, once we're done with that, we're going to come here. Okay, and then I want to register, so I'm going to register with a new username. So let's say QWERTY. Okay, and I'm going to send this request. Okay, and then you'll see here that you successfully signed up for the API. Status is 200. And if I go back here to the terminal, it will tell me, hey, I got a post request at /register, and the status was 200. I successfully handled them. All right, so hopefully this made sense, and this is basically how we end up deploying this API onto the server. Okay, so this is how you would deploy any of the Flask APIs on an AWS EC2 instance using Docker and Docker Compose. So we're gonna stop here, and thank you for watching.